lunatic, and when he says that he is, say that he did, for he is nothing but a mighty Lord. Crown him with many crowns, all them upon his throne. Hark how the heavenly anthem drowns all music but its own. Awake, my soul, and sing of him who died for thee, and hail him as thy matchless King through all eternity. I said the little leatherwing bat will tell you the reason that I fly by night is because I lost my heart's delight. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, hey-la-lee-lee-li-lee-lo. I said the blackbird sitting on a chair. Once I courted a lady fair. She proved fickle and turned her back, and ever since then I've just been black. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, hey-la-lee-lee-li-lee-lo. I said the woodpecker sitting on a fence. Once I courted a handsome wench. She got scared and from me fled, and ever since then my head's been red. Howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, howdy dowdy diddle dum day, hey-la-lee-lee-li-lee-lo. This is how I do a question, his math question. You try to find the value of C, okay? So 7 plus 10 is 17. And then 17 plus C has to be 25. C has to be 8. And then this, we're trying to find H. So 7 and 11 is 18. So 7 and 11 is 18. 18 and what is 47? Well, let's try to figure that out by doing 47 minus 18. I'm just going to say 37 minus 8, which makes it a little more simpler. Then let's see. It's going to be 29.
Yes.
So 29. Now what I do is 29 minus 11 is gonna be H. So 29 minus 11 is going to be 18.
That sounds right.
So 18 has to be H. Ooh, 17. 18. I'm going to tell about a little atom of minerals journey. So, there was a little piece of mineral that got blasted out of a volcano. It landed in some grass. Over a little time, became buried in the grass, and then it turned into part of a plant because it was a little piece of mineral that got sucked up by the plant's roots, probably. Now it's a part of the plant. And then a dog eats the part of the plant with the mineral, and it becomes part of its legs. Then 100 years later, there's a bone of a dog with a tiny piece of mineral on it underground. Then, let's say,
Many.
10,000 years later, it goes way deep down. There's a tree and some grass. And dirt, and it starts turning into stone, and then it gets really hot. And it's a little piece of mineral down there, and then 100,000 years later, it gets blasted back up as a little piece of mineral again. The end. Now it's in a rock. Hello, I'm going to tell about the Boston Tea Party. Well, some New Englanders dressed up as Indians and threw a bunch of tea into the harbor because they were mad about taxes on the tea. The people in the rulers in England made the tea extra cheap, so that even with the taxes that they put on it, it was still cheaper than other teas, like the tea from Holland that they got when they didn't want to buy the tea with taxes on it. And when some tea ships came into the harbor, the people were mad because the people in the rulers in England made the tea extra cheap because even with the taxes, they were trying to say we can still put taxes on you, and that's why the people were mad and dumped the tea in the harbor.
Go.
I'm going to tell about how Publius Valerius humbled himself to make the people like him better and make the people more willing to obey. He destroyed his fancy house on top of a hill and also he didn't make people hold fancy axes that meant I fancy for him, but he like made himself more humble, probably than many other leaders the people had ever had, and that's how he won the people's respect.
Go.
I'm going to tell about two scientists that lived a long time ago, Lavosier and Priestley. Priestley made lots of discoveries, and Lavosier kind of used those discoveries to figure out more things, and he kind of figured out some of the meanings of those discoveries. So, Lavosier almost stole Priestley's ideas in a way, and used them to figure things out.
What were they discovering?
Well, they were discovering the elements. One of the elements Priestley discovered was oxygen. He put a mouse under a cup that was full of oxygen, pure oxygen, not just air, and it survived for like, let's see, maybe like an hour or two, just in a little container full of oxygen. And he tried breathing some too, and it was very like calming almost. And
What other things?
well, they discovered some laughing gas. What was that called? Like a
Nitrous oxide?
yeah, nitrous oxide. And it makes you go like this, like you drink, like you inhale some and go like. It's interesting, and I've never tried it, but it sounds something interesting.
Uh-oh. Okay. That's okay. Now just put it over the candle. Pour it into...
A peely man! Ooh, look. I'm going to tell something that happened in a book called Kidnapped. So, David Balfour was on a ship that he had been kidnapped onto, and the ship struck a coral reef, and he got shipwrecked on an island. And then after staying there for a while, he saw like some fishermen, and he like waved to them and like shouted help, and they just like laughed and went home. And then the next time he saw them, he yelled for help again, and they said something about tides. So he and then a thought struck him that, well, so it was like an island right off the mainland, kind of. When the tides went out, there was land between the island and the mainland. So he just walked across that. I'm going to tell about Jesus getting anointed. So he was eating in the house of Simon, a tax collector, and a woman who was known as a sinner came in and broke a jar of expensive oil and poured it on Jesus' feet and anointed his feet with it. And Simon, the tax collector, said, "Why does this sinner do this?" And Jesus says, "She's trading me. She's like washing my feet or anointing me and anointing me for burial," he said, I think. And so that's the story.
And how does it end? Jesus says...
Huh?
What does Jesus say at the end?
And Jesus says, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm going to tell about a cycle that happens in Judges. The Israelites start worshiping idols, then God sends some people from like the Midianites or something to attack them, and then the people turn back to God for help, and then God appoints a judge to help them, like Gideon, I'm gonna tell about. But then after the judge defeats the bad guys, or like the Midianites, they go back to worshiping idols, and so the cycle starts over. But I'm going to tell about Gideon now. So, there's a man named Gideon who defeated the Midianites by scaring them off with lots of torches, trumpets, and jars smashing. They made lots of noise, and the Midianites thought there were like maybe around 1 million soldiers or something. So they just ran off. And also, Gideon knew he was going to win because God was helping him, and also he heard some men talking, and one said he had a strange dream that meant Gideon was going to defeat the Midianites. And the dream was a loaf of barley bread rolled down a hill and knocked down a tent. I'm going to tell about some of the last things Joshua said. He told the Israelites not to worship idols and not to marry heathens and things like that. Hello, I will tell about Johannes Vermeer's Woman Reading a Letter. As you can see, he does a really good job with the lighting, and there's a map on the wall, and also it looks like there's a dark spot on her face, but actually that's some curls. And also it almost looks like she's pregnant. Maybe the letter she's reading is about a baby. And also there's some chairs in the picture, and a table, maybe. There might be a table somewhere here, and it almost looks like there might be some kind of some drawers or something in here, because it's extra shadowy.
Do you want to mention?
So there might be something there.
Your Lego thing?
And also I made a Lego version of it, which you'll see later in the video.
What is 5 hundreds, 13 tens, and 4 ones?
400.
So it's 5 hundreds, 13 tens, and 4 ones.
600. Wait, 13?
It was 13 tens, yeah.
634.
Good job. What's 5 times 300? Yep. If oranges cost 25 cents, how much could you buy with that? How many oranges could you buy with $1?
4.
Yep. So how many oranges could you buy with that?
20.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell the story of the goose and the golden egg. Egg from Aesop's Fable. There's a guy that had a goose that laid golden eggs, but he wanted them all at once, so he cut it in half. And so because he thought there was a bunch of eggs inside, and he killed the goose, and he didn't get any more eggs.
Go.
So that's why I tell you to keep your eyes wide. Keep them wide open, at least on one side.
Oh.
I'm going to tell some of the cat that walked by himself. There was a cat, and he liked walking by himself. And once a bat told him that some people that lived in a cave had a baby that liked fuzzy soft things. And so the cat's like me. Maybe I could get something. So once he comes there and I could take care of your baby, and then if I say one word in your praise, you can come into the inside. If I say 2, which I won't, you can sit by the fire. If I say 3, you can also have some milk. And
The woman says that?
Yeah, and she ends up not saying 3, so he gets to sit by the fire inside and have milk.
Go.
I'm going to tell about bobolinks and how they lead skunks and stuff that want to eat their eggs away from the nest. They kind of jump away like that, and then they think they're going towards the nest and get away, but they're actually leading it away from the nest. I'm going to say Philippians 4:19. And my God meet your needs according to his glorious riches in Christ Jesus. I'm going to tell how Paddle to the Sea gets made. This Indian boy carves him and does a plate at the bottom that's and he paints him, and then he puts him in the snow, and the snow will go into a stream, which goes into a river, which goes into a river, which goes into the river, which goes a lake, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like this.
Go.
I'm going to talk about the View of Delft by Vermeer. There's a boat right there, there's more boats. And some people on this big dock looking thing. And then there's Delph.
Go.
Yeah, this is a base of a tower. And these are some people. And
What is the room like?
there's like a panel.
Mm-hmm.
There's a panel down and a pulpit and some windows and a pizza. And
Some kind of vase there. You see the white vase?
something like a vase.
And who painted it? Can you remember his name? Vermeer?
Who painted it, and there was a sand here.
We brought a rug for sitting on. Our lunch was in a box. The sand was warm. We didn't wear hats or shoes or socks.
Waves came crashing up the beach. We waited. It was fun. Our sandwiches were different kinds. I dropped my jelly one.
Go.
Christian is at the interpreter's house, and the interpreter takes him to a room with someone that's sweeping, and the dust just flies all over the place. And then a person brings water to get it not to fly all over the place.
Yep, and then he's able to clean it up.
Yeah. It's like we can't clean away our sins. It just gets messier and messier. So we need God's grace. I'm going to tell how Harold in Viking Tales gets his 2 new names. He says he won't someone he loves won't marry him unless he captures all of Norway. So, and he says he won't comb or brush or cut his hair until he does. And like 10 years later, well, they name him Harold Shockhead.
Mm-hmm.
And then 10 years later, he gets all of Norway. And then he combs his hair, and then he gets the new name, Harold Fair. And something I like about it is that some people still call him that Shockhead.